In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, God is one. Christ is risen. And today it's an absolutely beautiful day, really stunning. Quite literally not a cloud in the sky. And the other thing you can tell about it is, which is really unusual, I guess, is the way that there are absolutely no vapor trails at all in the sky. And I suppose that tells us about the continuing menace of this virus, because nobody's traveling, no vapor trails. And it's some time since we saw a vapor trail, even an airplane going over. In fact, yesterday, Buster, who's the dog, an airplane did go over, and it made him start barking. And that made me think, of course, he hasn't seen an airplane for days now. So this is an unusual and shocking thing for him to see. The goslings are still doing well. They live on a little island in the middle of the pond at night time, so they're safe from the fox. We do have foxes. I have a wildlife camera that pretty well everywhere I put the wildlife camera, it picks up a fox. And I know that it comes around and sniffs around the hen house most nights, which means that actually the hen house needs a bit of repair doing to it, a job I think I ought to do immediately after this. In fact, there are a couple of geese just flying over now. I think they might be the young from last year, because they keep on coming back. There are 4 of them. They're landing in the marsh as I watch, and the goose, the male goose, will leave the pond in a moment and chase them away. The pond itself is getting to be a nice, beautiful green color, which is happening just the right moment because the tadpoles hatched out a little while ago. And as they grow, they eat that algae, they eat that algal bloom. And in a couple of 3 weeks from now, as they're beginning to grow their legs, go down there and you discover that actually all that green algae has been eaten and the water is really quite clean and fresh looking again, and quite inviting. It makes you want to swim. Or if not swim, at least push somebody else in. Anyway, let's see who's here. North Pembrokeshire, that's good to know. Christ is risen. Anthony, yes, Christ is risen. Beautiful day. Yes, you're just over the hill, so it should be very nice there as well. Newcastle, Vicky, God bless you. Andrew, he's risen indeed. Alan, he's risen indeed. Greetings to everybody there too. Michelle, good morning, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you for lighting a candle for my grandmother, great grandmother. Very kind of you. Christ is always risen, Mary. You're quite right. Even in the middle of Lent, we can say Christ is risen because, of course, he has. And Sunny Batsy, that's lovely too. I hope you're having a good day down there, and your chickens and all the other critters you got. I saw a picture of your rabbits, Melengeth. I hadn't realized that they're such big and beautiful ones. And something inside me had told me that you're growing them to eat. But clearly when I saw Henry cuddling them, that they're lop-eared ones, that you're not planning to eat them. Anyway, there we go. Today we're going to have a look again. We're working so fast through Mark's Gospel. We've been on this particular pericope for about 3 or 4 days now. So we're going to stay exactly where we are. So it's Mark chapter 1, verses 16 through to 20. And I think we might even get to the end of that pericope today, a little section. Now, the interesting thing I'm going to look at today are the names of the people. There's obviously the Lord. His name is Jesus, which means God saves. And it's in the nature of God to save you. That is what God is like. And exactly the way you can say that there wasn't any, you can't really talk about it being choice, but it is what it means to be God, for God to become a human being, to become incarnate. Antica Christine, he's risen indeed. All right, I won't even think about eating your rabbits, Henry. Christ is risen, Tracy, also from the other side of the Atlantic. So it's in the nature of Christ, in the nature of God, to take human flesh. It's in the nature of God. It is what is an attribute of God to save. That is what God does. Like it's an attribute of God to be forgiving. God forgives. It's an attribute of God to be righteous, to be just in all of his judgments. And the Lord is called Jesus, and it's no accident. But then I don't think the names of the apostles are accidental either. The first one we see here is called Simon. Now put up your hands if you know what the name Simon means. You don't? Oh well. Very bad children. It means to hear or to listen in that active hearing way, listening way. What a great name for an apostle, a disciple. Shema, hear, O Israel. And here we have Simon listening, and with his ears, he hears the gospel. Later, of course, he's called Peter, Kephas, Rocky. So not only is he a hearing disciple, a listening disciple, but he's also the rock on which the church is then built, as indeed all of the apostles and our current bishops. So two very important things just to start off with. The next one is his brother, Andrew. Andrew means manly, male-like. Lots of people think that Christianity is a very wimpy, pathetic sort of religion, where everybody's so meek and mild and so pathetic that if they were tea, they wouldn't be able to crawl out of the teapot. Weak and feeble religion, but actually it isn't. It is extraordinarily robust. And whether you're male or female, you need courage and stickability and the ability to plow on through difficulties, that strength of character that we find that Andrew, named appropriately, has got, that according to tradition, took him all the way from Archangel, as it's now called, in northernmost Russia, down to Great Zimbabwe, in Zimbabwe, right across to Sogdiana, in what we now call Afghanistan, and then the other way, probably most barbarously, to Scotland, of all places, thus drawing a walloping great cross over the world. Now, you do need to be a strong, forceful person in order to do that. And so here we have one who listens and is the great rock, and the other one, manly, courageous, forceful. Natalia, Christ is risen indeed. Hugh the beer kid. I just think that it amuses me every time I see that. I guess your name is Hugh. Christ is risen indeed. The beer kid. Your prayers. Have one for me. I'm drinking, what's that Russian stuff called? Made out of fermented tea at the moment. It's meant to do me a lot of good. Maria Helena, God bless you. Christ is risen. The next one down on the list is, of course, James. Jacob in kvass. Yes, it's kvass. Thank you, Natalia. I rather like it. I try and have some every day. I think it does me good. I'm sure it does me good. Anyway, I enjoy it. So even if it doesn't, I'm going to carry on drinking it. Sissy, God bless you. No, it's not kvass. It is kombucha. Kombucha, something like that. It looks like I call it monster. It looks like a big mushroom sitting on top of tea. Tracy, you're missing out. So James, the next one down on this list, the supplanter. Now, the original Jacob, you couldn't get anybody more cunning than him. That's why it is that when the Lord talks to Nathanael, an Israelite indeed, in whom there's no guile, no cunning, he's joking. I'll show you what it looks like in a moment, Natalia, and you'll probably be able to see. I was given it by a Russian, one who comes from not the Ukraine. No, I'm thinking about the wrong person here. Anyway, I'll show you in a moment. So Jacob wrestled with God. It means the planter, he took his brother's heel, the original Jacob did, and pulled him back into the womb, and he himself was supplanted his brother. So to be a good Christian, you do need to have a certain amount of sort of animal cunning. Even the Lord said, as gentle as a dove, as cunning as a serpent. And then the next brother down, John, this means that God is gracious and merciful. I don't need to say anything more than that. And then their father, Zebedee, and they were called the sons of thunder, James and John, the sons of thunder. Not because they were thunder, but because their father was thunder. He was an irascible man, and you can just imagine how he reacted when his two lads went off. They disappear off. Oh, tomorrow I think we might need to have one more about this. I just remember what it was I was thinking about in the night, about this particular passage. And so they were thunderous. I used to make natural ginger ale or ginger beer and Darcy. I used to make huge quantities of it in great big buckets when I was a schoolboy. And we all drank it like mad, and I didn't realize how alcoholic it was because my mother used to make it and gave me the ginger baby that you start off with, but then you add lots of sugar to it and lemon juice and more ginger and so on. Mary, I don't drink coffee except very strong Greek, Turkish, Arabic coffee, but it needs to be very, very strong. So it nearly knocks my head off when I'm drinking it, and that I'll drink. But the general taste of coffee, horrible. It's like, I don't know, it smells like the bottom of an ashtray. Yuck. Anyway, but the name Zebedee itself means abundant portion. You remember what the Lord said? He said, I am come that you may have life and have it in abundance. Christ is life. Christ is the giver of life. The Holy Spirit is the giver of life. God fills everything and everyone with life. Christianity is about life. And in Zebedee, we get the next little bit of the gospel, and that is it's about filling you with life. So Christ saves. You listen, you act as a rock. You have to be strong and courageous. You have to be cunning, but God is gracious and merciful, and he'll give you abundant life. How's that for a few names? And these people are walking, not Zebedee. He's still in the boat with the hired servants, and he's pretty cross. But they're only hired servants. They're not actually the sons of the covenant. Those ones are now walking along the beach, and they're partaking in the gospel. Steve, you'll have to set your watch. Set your clock. Then you can see the whole terrible show. I've been carrying on for 13 minutes and 33 seconds. I think that's plenty. I'm going to plant some beetroot today. There it is. Some nice beetroot. I'm going to plant some of these that Alan ought to recognize because they're sent by him. And that is this pink passion shard. That looks interesting, doesn't it? They thought it was extinct. And I'm just going to plant some radishes, which I've got here. These are called French breakfast number 3. There's something else I thought I'd plant. Oh, I'm going to sprout some mung beans. That's just in the odd 10 minutes or so. I've got spare here and there. The idea of having spare time. Yes, actually, dill. I'm thinking of planting some dill as well, Natalia, but I think I might plant that in the greenhouse. I think that might do better. Tracy, good night and God bless you. Sleep well. And all the rest of you, please pray for me. I'm glad to see, Andrew, that the internet has been good. We had it repaired yesterday. This time yesterday when I was doing the not live show, I looked out the window, and there's the Fundi. There was the engineer out there actually fixing the mast and putting some new gadget into our reception thing. So hopefully it's going to be much better for some time. Yes, with luck, Alan, you've eaten it before. I love chard. I love it in its two ways. I like eating the stalks like asparagus with lots of butter and pepper and a bit of salt, and the rest of it like spinach. Anyway, enough of that. Don't send me recipes. I don't do any cooking. It's Daniel who does the cooking. God bless you. God willing. Same time tomorrow. Your prayers. Amen.